Hello and welcome to this overnight taste challenge. It's not late enough yet to be, or what? How do you say it? It's not dawn yet. I can't speak. But the days are coming where it will be getting daylight around 5:30 Central Time. It's 5:40 Central Time, Central Standard Time in Louisiana, and I have two Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskeys. This is Ezra Brooks, introduced in 1957. In fact, they even had the date on the trademark data, March 29th, 1957. Trademark was first used in commerce. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 80 proof, no age statement, sour mash whiskey. They're claiming 7 generations. I don't know, man. I know it only started in 1957, so a lot of these histories are concocted. But yes, Ezra Brooks was a real person, and I do not think he had anything to do with Luxco, and I don't think Luxco had anything to do with him. But they found an old name and they used it. There's the old distillery. There's a new Lux Road distillery now, producing a lot of their products today in Kentucky. Luxco is owned by Midwest Grain Products, who bought them 6 years ago. Okay. I found this bottle at International Market. It was $10.99, 750 milliliters. This is an old bottle from years ago, 11 years ago. And in fact, this is still produced, but it's only for export. I'll show you that. The little tiny sample bottles for overseas export, and the 70 centiliter, not 75, 70 centiliter bottles for the Australian market. So they pay more, but they get less. They don't get 750 or 75 centiliters. Here's Colonel E.H. Taylor Jr. Small batch, introduced in 2011. It's 100 proof. Oh, man. Get away from there. She knocked over my notepad, and then she's got her bed all messed up. I call this her bed. All it is a towel that she likes to sleep on during the day. I wish she would sleep on it at night instead of trying to wake me up. Okay, if you touch the wires, you're going to get kicked out the room. Okay, come on, you're out. I know you can't help yourself. Come on. Too late. You always screw up. I'm sorry. She was being calm, but once I started getting active with this, she can't stay calm. This is 100 proof, bottled in bond Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It is from Buffalo Trace Distillery, owned by the Sazerac Company. Now, the Sazerac Company did not start Old Taylor in 1887, Old Taylor, but they're connected to it because the Old Taylor OFC Distillery, Old Fire Copper Distillery, is Buffalo Trace today. It changed names over the years. There's Colonel Taylor, not a real colonel, but honorary title. There's the Old Fire Copper Distillery, still in business as Buffalo Trace, much more modernized today. It's blurry. I don't want to hold it too long, but a lot of the old buildings are still there, actually, and they're right next to the river, and so unfortunately they get flooded by the Kentucky River quite a bit. I think they've had at least 2 big floods there, and they got to clean everything out. It's a big mess. They put it by the river on purpose so that they could ship, load the whiskey on barges and ship it down the Kentucky River to the Ohio River, and then down to the Mississippi and into New Orleans and on and so forth. Now you can see the Taylor is copper, and the Ezra Brooks is amber, much lighter product. it shouldn't be a contest, considering one is $10.99, the other one's $40 and up, depending if you can find it at all. Now, all they're showing on Luxco is the list, the product spec. The little 50 milliliter bottle, you get a case of 120 in just for export. The black milliliters or 70 centiliters, you get a 6-pack. The case is 6 bottles in Australia. So it was sold in the United States, but something happened and they decided to go export only. Here's Colonel E.H. Taylor Jr. small batch. They're saying it's fantastic, and I agree with them. It is. I love that little snifter. I have a glass similar to that. They say it's for intermediate drinkers, not for the newbie, the beginner, not for the advanced, just intermediate. Like, you know, and I hate that approach because you don't need practice to drink bourbon or rum or beer or tequila. All you need is an interest in it. But they want to make it seem like you gotta get used to it. Oh, you gotta. If you start it up again, I'm gonna put you out. Okay, so you gotta be calm. I got the lamps on. You be calm. Go up there. Oh yeah, you want to knock the bottle over. Well, that's not being calm. That's not being calm. That's not a toy. To her, it's a toy, you know. Oh, let me play with the toy. No, it's not a toy. You. I'll tell you what she's doing. She's trying to get over to that desk. Oh, look, playing with toys. Toys? That's amazing. She doesn't usually have much interest in her toys. I looked down and I saw the darker one, so I knew which was which. Cheers to Indiana, where a lot of a lot of bourbon comes from Indiana, a lot of rye whiskey, a lot of vodka, a lot of bulk gin from Lawrenceburg, Indiana. But cheers to University of Indiana football team, 16 wins, 0 losses, 2025 season, one of the best college football seasons ever for any team. And their first national championship. I don't know when I first started playing. I know it was the 1800s. I'll have to look that up. You know, it smells like regular old bourbon. You get that corn kernel, yellow corn, roasted corn, like the corn nuts. Yeah, similar smell. So appearance, well, one's darker, one's lighter. They both look nice. Aroma, both nice aroma. Not that different one to another. Very mild. Vanilla, corn, the candy corn, like cherry, dates that you or other fruit, cake fruit. Good. Much stronger. Same flavors, vanilla, oak, but much stronger charred oak. And much stronger vanilla. And some of that cherry, and they're saying, I think, black pepper or something. I don't know about black pepper. No, don't chew on the wire. Off the wire. It's trying to chew on the coaxial cable, which will be a disaster. Here, why don't you go run after that sock? So, Taylor, better. Yes. Old Taylor, if I got the old Taylor, also from Sazerac Buffalo Trace, probably wouldn't be much different at all from Ezra Brooks. Just a basic bourbon from my impression of it, from what I've seen on the internet. But oh, it's probably very good. Now, hold on my nose a little bit. If you watch my videos that I recorded last week, you could tell how you could see I had a cold, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't make videos, but I could still smell, I could still taste. Didn't really affect my smelling and tasting, but it didn't sound nice. All right, so the winner, I say the winner is Taylor, not Old Taylor, Colonel E.H. Taylor Jr. Small Batch. But the loser is hard to find. It's rather expensive. You got to track it down, make you get on a waiting list. I don't think you always have to do that. I think it's kind of a pain, though. Now, with the bourbon market in decline, might go back to the way it was when it first came out, just on the shelf. Maybe the prices will go down. When it first hit the market 2011, you just could go there and buy it. And then with the big internet bourbon fanaticism type of thing, and then it kept going up, like it's never going to drop. And then it started to crash, and boy, it's really crashing. Now, Captain Burley Slice says, good morning. Good morning to you. Okay, so, Indiana. We know they won the national championship for this season that ended last night. Miami had a chance, but that interception, that killed it. But they were fighting to the end. That was impressive. So, let's see, Indiana Hoosiers football. First season, 1887. Whoa. In 1887, they played one game and they lost. But that's back when they were just starting, these teams, they were kind of experimenting. I know Louisiana State University and Tulane University, they both started in 1897. But I think they both played one game that year against each other. And then the people were interested in it, and so other teams got into football. And then pretty soon the universities and colleges were fielding teams and playing 8-9 games a year. And then by the 1970s, they started playing 11 games a year. And then recently, 12 games a year. Now with all the playoffs, it's like Indiana up to 16, which is a little bit much. But it's very interesting. And I'm sure most of you know who played in the first ever college football game. Which if you had watched that game, you would have, if you could somehow watch the game back in time, you would say it looked more like rugby, which it was really a type of rugby, but it evolved. Get off that paper. Don't eat paper. She likes to eat newsprint, and that's not good for her. Come here. In fact, in Canada, the Canadian Football League was called, I think, the Canadian Rugby Union until 1957, Canadian Rugby Union. But it's, I was watching an interview with John Lennon on Monday Night Football, one of the Beatles, former Beatles, and he was saying, because the Beatles used to be into rugby, like they followed rugby teams in England, Liverpool team, but he was saying on Monday Night Football, the Rams and they were playing at Los Angeles Coliseum, the game, and he was the Rams, 1974, I can't remember the opponent. he was saying it's a lot like rugby. It's the same thing. You got the touchdowns, field goals. You move the ball 10 yards, or you have to turn it over, and first downs and all that. He said, but I don't understand. He said, but I know you can throw the ball forward, which in rugby, you got to pitch it back. They have no forward pass in rugby. And he said, I can't understand why half the team comes off the field and the other half goes on. He didn't understand the defensive team and the offensive team, because I guess in rugby you play both sides. You know, they don't really have a defense and offense. They just switch. The same player play both. Like American football used to be, you play both. You play everything. Special teams, punts, kickoffs, offense, defense, and then it changed, you know, over the years. Now it's specialized. But he was confused about that. But otherwise, he said it was pretty easy to follow, being a rugby fan. And they said, Howard Cosell said, well, you know what question I'm going to ask you? He said, I know. He said, are the Beatles going to ever get back together? And John Lennon said, if we could get a crowd like this, we might do it. 80,000 people at the Coliseum. Yeah, that was a funny statement. If we could get a crowd like this, we'd probably do it. Of course, you know. But anyway, the history there. But the rumor is Ronald Reagan met with John Lennon at the game, something like that. But anyway, cheers to Ezra Brooks. I'm glad I found this obscure bottle. Oh, about, let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, about 20% left. Could do some more taste challenges with it. It's getting very hazy. I notice with these bourbons, when you get low in the bottle, they get really hazy. All the sediment, it just congeals at the bottom. Ezra Brooks, yeah, they were trying to copy Jack Daniel's labeling and bottle design. And even if you look at the old ads from the 1950s and 60s, they're saying, you know, why buy Jack Daniel's when you can get this? Basically, it's a good, cheap substitute. That's what they were saying. Actually, I go along with that. I would go along with that. $10.99, so that's half of 22. Be lucky to find Jack Daniel's anywhere for $22 these days, but you might on sale, you know, find it on discount. But it is a good substitute. Would I buy this over Jack Daniel's? Yeah, if I could save half the money. But then, alas, we can't buy it at all these days in America because it's no longer sold in America. I just found a bottle that was left over from 2015. Oh, you can buy Ezra Brooks. I'm not saying you can't buy Ezra Brooks. I'm talking about the 80 proof black label. You can buy the current Ezra Brooks, which is 99 proof. They decided to go up. They went to 86. No, let me think. They went from 80 to 90. That's right. They went from 80 and then it was 90 proof for a while. And then bam, they went to 99. Whereas all the other bourbon companies have been dropping their stuff down to 80. So they bucked the trend. Walmart used to sell it, but they don't have it anymore. They just have the Ezra Brooks Bourbon Cream, which they're trying to unload by selling it for like $9.50. They were selling it for 30 something when it first came out. Nobody was buying it. I'm sure when all the bottles are gone, they're not going to bring it back. I don't think any other stores sell Ezra Brooks around here. Maybe that liquor store called Cheap Liquor, which really isn't that cheap, although they do have specials. They might have it. It's not really that popular, and it never was really that popular, but it's around. You know what I mean? It's a legacy brand. It's around. It is around, like Ancient Age. It's around. Do you see a lot of people buying Ancient Age? I don't. Do you ever hear anybody talking about it? No, but it's there. It's on the shelf. It's been around since 1936. So somebody likes it. What's your best deal you ever found? Says Dylan. Football. When I got Nikah from the barrel for $9.99, and all the stores selling it were selling it for $70. Low end $70. Maybe one store had it for $70. Everybody else had it for $75. So the average 75. So to buy a $75 bottle of bourbon, not bourbon, ooh, Japanese blended whiskey, which was awesome. It's a great product. But to get a $75 bottle for $9.99, I'm like, somebody made a mistake. But that's not my problem. That was probably the best deal ever. A close second is Gibson's Finest Rare, which in Louisiana is very rare. A handle, the huge bottle, the big glass bottle. I still have it. I'm seeing that retailing everywhere for like $60, $65. I'm talking about the big bottle. And I found it at Savannah Discount for $9.99. That was amazing. And people in Canada were like, you're lying, you know, that's not possible. I said, I don't think it's possible, but I know it's possible because I found it. It's there. And honestly, the Chivas Regal Mitsunara oak, that's a really hard one to find. It's really hard to find. It's finished in Japanese Mitsunara oak. It usually runs around $55. I found a bottle for $14.99. And then I bought one. A friend of mine bought one. Another friend wanted one. He's like, no, that's incredible. That's amazing. I said, is it? You're right. So those are good examples, like the three best examples, I guess. There's others. There are others. You're the king of good deals, says Dylan. Well, I'm not the king. I just live in a kingdom called Louisiana, which for whatever reason, we get these incredible liquor prices. Beer, nah. We don't get good beer. We get beer, we don't really get good beer deals. It might go on sale and it'd be just a normal price. But if you go to Illinois, their beer is way cheaper. Now, other taxes are probably exorbitant, like property tax or whatever, which I do not support property tax. You should not have to pay rent to the government. But they got us beat bad on beer, but we got them beat really bad on liquor. You see, I don't know about wine. I don't really research for wine. I just find stuff, And people ask me, what kind of wine do you like? I say everything. Which means either I'm a bad wine connoisseur or I'm a good wine connoisseur. I don't know the answer. Because every wine I try, I like. Now, I mean, obviously some are better than others, but they all taste good at least. Like the worst one I ever had was good. Doesn't mean I'd buy it again, but I was like, it tastes pretty good to me. And my friend Paul, who used to live in the Woodlands, he lives close to the Woodlands, Texas now, but he bought a property out away from there with more land. Because the Woodlands, you'd be real crowded up. They got big houses, but the yards are tiny. It's kind of like a housing project. But he said, oh, don't even talk about wine snobs. This is his experience. He said, wine snobs, they're the worst. I said, what you mean? He said, oh, I go to these parties in the Woodlands, somebody's children's birthday party. And they're all drinking the wine and they're like criticizing it and talking everything they try, they hate it, Oh, this is no good. I paid $200, they want to let you know what they paid. It was $200, not worth it, like to show you, I like much better stuff than this trash. He's like, these people are all crazy over there. This is his opinion. They're all crazy. I say, well, you moved there, I didn't hate the Woodlands, but I wouldn't want to live there. They're a little cramped. It's like you tight, like, look at my big house and I got no yard. You can like put your arm out and you hit somebody else's fence. But one of those planned communities. Well, the Taylor is the winner. The Taylor is a winner. Colonel E.H. Taylor is a winner. It is a winner. And there is no doubt about that. And I am delighted that I got it as a gift. It was a great gift, let me tell you. Let me see who's selling Old Taylor. Man, I'm really tempted to call Sazerac Buffalo Trace. That's who you're gonna get. That's who's gonna answer the phone, Buffalo Trace. But just to see who's got it around. They probably tell me, oh yeah, they got it at this store, be like 2 miles away from me, you know. Specs. Well, I ain't going to Texas to get it. I'm really only 3 hours from Texas, but I'm not going, assuming I don't hit traffic. Old Taylor doesn't get very high scores. It's got 54 reviews. Yeah, people are giving it kind of low average. They're not too thrilled. When is Dave doing blind taste tests with 6 beers versus George? I would say never, because the scheduling. You remember your first communion? Well, that's good. I would say never, because it's just a scheduling issue and other things. Here's Old Taylor Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, $20.31 for a handle. Big bottle. Yes, I think I would consider that. It's got the same photo basically as the Colonel E.H. Taylor, except on the Colonel he's wearing on the Colonel he's wearing a top hat, and on Old Taylor he's not wearing a top hat. Otherwise, it's the same drawing. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, topmost class. Yeah. I don't know about that. It says Old Taylor 6, not 6-year aged, just 6, meaning Sazerac bought it and they decided to drop the aging on it. They just call it Old Taylor 6. So when people see that, they're thinking, oh, 6-year age. Oh, wrong. Old Taylor bourbon offers a sweet apple nose of caramel and sweet char. The palate offers a balance of maple, oak, and cinnamon. It should have put commas there. Maple, comma, and cinnamon. But nobody knows how to use grammar anymore. The finish has a touch of zest that's accentuated by a Maduro wrapper sweetness. Man, you know that Specs liquor store in Texas did not write this. And you do know that Buffalo Trace wrote this description. Hey, well, maybe it had all those features. Oh, I was going to show you. Yeah, I showed you the screen share. So, do I go to Texas? Usually about once a year at least. So if I go, I will check it out. And if I see it, I'll buy it. Okay. Even though I have 18 unopened bottles of bourbon, I do not need any more bourbon. If you want to give me a gift, give me Irish whiskey or brandy or cognac, because bourbon I do not need. And I think about this sometimes, like, how am I going to get through all these bourbons? I can't even imagine how I'm going to do it. Because I have Canadian whiskey coming up next, and a good one too. No joke. This might be the best Canadian whiskey I've ever bought. Wow. I can't wait. It's like, I want to do it now, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to do the bourbons. So what bourbons do I have coming up against this? I got Jepson's 100 proof. They make an 80 or a 90, but they make a lower. But I have the Jepson's 100 proof blend of straight bourbons. I have Jesse James, America's Outlaw Bourbon. You won't believe that price. I still don't believe the price, but it's reality. And maybe I have one more I'm overlooking. I'm thinking. I think there's one more, but it's going to end, Sorry, good night. I tried to do. What? Oh. You might have been having a few drinks there, huh? Based on your comments. But I have a lot of people do that. They drinking and drinking and drinking, and then they start writing comments, and it's like, hello, what's going on here? Then they'll wake up later on, 8 hours later, 6 hours later. Who put this on my Facebook? Who put all this on my Facebook? Oh, it was me. They're thinking, oh man. Anyway, no, I don't drink at 6 a.m. I'm doing a tasting. I'm not going to drink whiskey at 6 a.m. I'm not crazy, you know. But I do a tasting because it's convenient. It's a convenient time for me. So, but yeah, it's really not when you do it, it's how much you do it. And a lot of people lose reference points on that. They'll say, well, I don't start until 12 noon. Yeah, but the problem is you don't stop until ... It's the volume per day, which some people have a problem with volume control, to say the least. Anyway, thanks for watching. And the winner is Colonel E.H. Taylor. Never doubted that. Who would have? Beautiful bottle, have to admit. And y'all have a good Tuesday. Stay safe, everybody. Take care. God bless. Yeah, it looks great. It is great. It's wonderful.